Walt Disney saw himself as a modern American patriot who felt a responsibility to incorporate American history into his films and parks. And in no other place is this more evident than the Magic Kingdom's Liberty Square. It was just a year after Disneyland's opening that plans to annex its town square with a new Liberty Street were announced. The street ended in a cul-de-sac called Liberty Square. Here would lie its Hall of Presidents with its patriotic theater show, One Nation Under God, a historic retelling of America through wax figures of various presidents. Walt personally supervised early recordings for this show during this time. Just 2 years prior, a year before Disneyland's opening, President Eisenhower had passed into law the addition of the same phrase, One Nation, Under God, into the Pledge of Allegiance. Walt Disney saw potential for his new theater show. Since Imagineers would not propose a patent on audio animatronic technology for a few more years, wax figurine presidents were proposed as the most lifelike technology available in 1954. The years following Disneyland's opening were extremely busy for Walt Disney as he finally had the tools and money to move forward on nearly any project he could imagine. And imagine he did. In addition to the new Liberty Street, he was also overseeing the animation of Sleeping Beauty, the design and opening of the Disneyland monorail, the Matterhorn bobsleds, and running multiple projects in the 1964 New York World's Fair, in addition to secretly seeking and acquiring land for his new Disney World resort. Walt put plans for Liberty Street on the back burner. Walt's vision would be realized 6 years after his own death when the Magic Kingdom's Liberty Square opened with the park in 1971. It was the only opening day land not found in California's Disneyland. It stayed true to Walt's vision, offering a romanticized telling of American history through a city square built on the banks of a scenic riverbed during colonial America. Although small in size, it was packed with artifacts from American history and contained 3 of the 15 opening day attractions. Guests entered the land by walking over the now destroyed Concord Bridge, modeled after the North Bridge in Concord, Massachusetts, the location of the famous shot heard round the world that marked the first militia victory in the American Revolution. The bridge's arch stayed true to the Herb Ryman concept art, but proved to be too curvy and was later rebuilt to accommodate future parades. The white rocks that lined the waterfront were quarried near the place where Washington crossed the Delaware River. For the Liberty Tree, Imagineers transplanted a 35-ton oak tree, one of the largest ever moved at the time, from the southern side of the Florida property into Liberty Square during the park's construction. The 190-year-old Liberty Tree is representative of the original Liberty Tree in Boston, where the revolutionaries would meet in celebration of the repeal of the Stamp Act in response to the Boston Tea Party. The Bostonians first hung flags in the tree, then lanterns to its branches, more and more each night. As a nod to this history, Imagineers hung 13 colonial-era lamps in her branches, representative of the original 13 colonies. You won't find a public restroom in Liberty Square. Look for the subtle brown streak running through the floor of the land, representative of the sewage that flowed through the city streets in a time 50 years before indoor plumbing. Since there was a restriction on metal shipped to America during the Revolutionary War, the shutters in Liberty Square were hung to imitate shutters hung with no nails. England didn't want Americans using the metal for bullets. From Liberty Street's conception in the late 1950s to its realization inside the Magic Kingdom in 1971, 20 years of technological innovation had passed, now making it possible for more than just an audio show, for the theater show originally intended as One Nation Under God. For the 1964 World's Fair, Walt debuted the first audio animatronic built in human form in his Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln exhibit, but Walt wanted to take it further. The Liberty Square show, now simply called the Hall of Presidents, opened with not just the then current president Richard Nixon, but every full-sized audio animatronic president before him. Full-sized Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, even Benjamin Harrison entertain and educate guests through an impressively apolitical telling of the American president's story. The lobby of the Hall of Presidents is actually nationally recognized as a presidential museum with artifacts from American history on display in its rotunda. Thanks to a literal act of Congress, it is the only place other than the White House where the presidential seal can be publicly used today. Walk Fantasyland to Frontierland through Liberty Square, and you will unknowingly be given more history lessons in geography and time. The Haunted Mansion represents East Coast architecture during the 1770s, but as you walk towards the wild American West represented in Frontierland, you can witness the progression through the architecture of the buildings, seeming to travel backwards in time from the 1700s to the days of the Wild West. Not sure what year you're in? Check the number on the building. Liberty Square, although the smallest land of the Magic Kingdom area-wise, it is easily one of the most interesting. It's also one where Walt's presence can be felt the most. We must not forget the attraction that we've hardly mentioned yet, arguably one of the most admired, most respected, and most unique dark rides in the world still today, Disney's Haunted Mansion.